right. Hi, my name's Ken Smith. I'm a accounting professor at Central Washington University and a former school board director. I was contacted by the people at the Kent School District about some of the questions and concerns they had with the finances at the school, as well as some board governance type issues. So this is a quick summary of my assessments in about the 4 months since I've been watching Kent. So kind of low tech here, but I'm going to zoom the camera in and go through a couple quick slides. So the outline of the presentation, there are, I'll give a quick understanding of the background, my expertise, the scope of how I did this assessment, observations and finding, and then the recommendations. In terms of the background, as I said, in March of 2018, March 27th or so, I was contacted by a Kent parent, one of the ones who works with the KSD discussion group, which is kind of a new thing in school districts. In North Shore, where I was on the school board, we had a discussion group. They're usually closed, is the format of the Facebook group, rather than private or open to the public. On April 13th, as I was beginning my work, I emailed the school board offering my assistance and my contact information. I've sent about 9 emails to the full board and have heard back from 3 of the 5 directors at some point. On April 22nd, I led a group of 15 volunteers and prepared a report on the Citizen Finance Report, and I'll talk about that in a future video. And then on May 9th, I was a guest presenter at a Kent board work session, largely encouraging them and recommending they seek the services of an internal auditor. This work session was not recorded, as Kent does not generally record their work sessions, which I think is an area where they could improve. My background and why I have, I think, some relevant expertise. I was a school board member at North Shore, which is similar sized with 4 comprehensive high schools. North Shore has over 20,000 students. Kent has about 27,000. I do have a PhD in accounting. I've formerly been an auditor, worked in litigation support, and am an author, speaker, have written a textbook and other items. I've also worked at several different other universities, including Texas A&M at Corpus Christi, Pepperdine, Southern California, Willamette, University of Washington, and the Evans School, now at Central Washington. I'm the department chair. And so these topics of finances and governance are in my area of expertise. The scope of the presentation, of the assessment is basically I've been watching the board docs website that has all the official documents, agendas. I've reviewed the Kent webpage, especially information on budget and finance, and then I follow the community members at the discussion group. I do want to say here at this point in time that I am the discussion group is its own unique entity, and while I do post there frequently, I certainly do not agree with everyone and every position on that, and I have been reasonably clear in my writing that I try to be balanced and look for the evidence of whatever is being supported or not supported, and there's certainly a diversity of viewpoints there, and that's healthy generally for a school district in today's world, and hopefully there are people who pay attention to that and follow it, including on the board. And then certainly understanding the RCW, the laws that apply to school districts. And then I've attended several board meetings. I've met in person with 2 of the board directors and talked on the phone with the 3rd, so I have had some contact with them. Here's kind of my observations, kind of findings, and it's pretty concerning to me. I know the board has made progress in the 4 months since I've been watching, but there's still some pretty significant areas for growth. Number one, the board is significantly behind on its written policies. Some are over 20 years without being revised, and their own policies require that they update those, and that's a kind of a sign of this deferred maintenance that I see in the board significantly. They have not fully complied with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. They locked the doors once for a meeting. They have had a meeting via email, serial meeting via email, and they've also not gavelled in and gavelled out and given all the proper notifications. They have not done their job in financial oversight, especially with the failure to meet the budget in the prior 2 years. The current year, it looks like they're going to be close to their budget, and they've spent a lot of time. They've made improvements on that. But in the prior 2 years, the years ending in August of 16 and August of 17, they did not. I'll do another video on this contract, but the board, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this now, I was significantly concerned by the board's dealing with the contract. There were significant misunderstandings about what was or wasn't being voted on. The board did not pause or stop to find out what they were actually voting on, and then went ahead with the vote. And there was even confusion. A board member was asking about whether or not to table, and that was confusion. So that's an area where the board really does need to improve in their behavior. And then the board has not been prompt in addressing written concerns and complaints about their only employee, which is the superintendent. And these are ones for which we have clear, strong, compelling evidence, and I can provide that in future videos. Others where we need some more investigation to know, but the preponderance of evidence seems to be aiming at this, that the board has not publicly held the superintendent accountable for contract violations. Secondly, or item G, the board has not diligently and publicly completed its tasks, such as setting the annual goals and doing its annual evaluation of the superintendent. Those are extremely important activities for any school board, and I have not been able to find them publicly. I know they're trying to get caught up on that, but they're not there yet. The board, in recent meetings, it's not clear that they understand their role and responsibility in regards to the curriculum. And then item here, it is kind of troubling to me as someone who used to be on a school board, knowing how difficult it is and the responsibilities that we have as board directors, how much support there could be from certain organizations and how some of these organizations have not provided the needed support, including the WASDA. WASDA gave this board a Board of Distinction Award in the past few years when their finances were going down and their policies have clearly not been up to date. So that's hard to understand. I know that the current WASDA executive director has been to a couple board sessions and worked with them, and that's a very positive step, but over the past years that was not getting the support that they need. The state auditor did not adequately, in my opinion, alert the board as well as the community to the fund balance violations of the fund balance policy, and they could have done that in a public way, and they apparently did that in back office communications, but not in a public written letter, which they could have chosen. I believe there's some concerns with the state OSPI. The state superintendent of public instruction could have helped more to clarify both to the board as well as to the constituents served. The local news has not really covered the Kent district to the level that would be helpful and the kind of accountability. With one exception, KNKX, the NPR station, and Ashley Gross has been trying to dig into some of these concerns and report on them so that accountability can happen and improvements can happen. And then also their attorney for the board. I'm concerned about some of the advice that they may or may not be given and some of the assistance they have. Certainly on the superintendent contract, the attorney should have been able to clarify what actually was in those documents, and the board did not understand, and then took action without understanding, and that's a disservice to the board. And so while the board could do better by itself, when the support system around that board is not working well, that's an additional problem. I don't know, I've not seen any evidence, but haven't really looked deeply for the local education service district if there's been any concerns there where they have kind of let the board down. I have 5 recommendations. Those recommendations are similar to some I've already communicated to the board in writing, but wanted to share this with the public. Number 1, deliberate in public and adopt a board recovery plan so they can kind of earn the trust back of the community. There's a lack of community trust of the board and the executive, and that's based upon really a lot of failings on the part of the board. Continue to seek help from experts, experienced board directors. Each board member should have a mentor. I was assigned a mentor from another district. That was a very helpful thing. And the professional associations have the ability to help. They need to be sought out and continue to use. Number 3, I definitely believe all of the public, the work should be done in public, and the transparency would be increased by live streaming all special meetings and work sessions at the admin building. Number 4, I believe the board should embrace the public who elected them and whom they serve, and increase their individual accessibility and respond timely to requests from constituents and the media, which some of the board members have been better at that. Some of the boards have not responded at all to me or to constituents. And then finally, for the issues that are in need of investigation, to hire an investigator, independent investigator, or better yet, I strongly believe that all districts, including my former district, which just has moved to get an internal auditor, that an internal auditor would be a fabulous resource for the board as well as for the community to provide information about the board's own activities. And then lastly, my contact information. I'm happy to talk to anyone about the issues at Kent that I've seen and to receive additional information. And hopefully, working together, we can make things better and share information. And that's a quick overview of where I see the Kent School Board as of September 9th, 2018.